Hey, welcome back, aviators. I've got something I thought might be interesting here. Had some good discussions recently with some student pilots about risk assessment and risk aversion and level of risk. And this isn't really so much a video to tell you what you should and should not do, but it's more of a video to kind of give you some things to think about and make your own personal minimums. Disclaimer up front, I'm not an instructor. This is not instructional type content. I am simply giving you what I would look at as a professional pilot if I was flying maybe a small single engine piston powered airplane from point A to point B. And I chose this cross country here, Tacoma Narrows to the Columbia Gorge Airport, because it does have some good things to think about. So let's go up here, if I can get this to cooperate, and look at what we're dealing with. This cross country has a good mix of complex airspace as well as remote land territory. So each has its own challenges. As you can see here in the Tacoma Narrows Airport, I'm going to zoom in. Anytime you're dealing with the Pacific Northwest or the Northeast or just about anywhere in the country for that matter, your first consideration should be weather. If I was doing this flight, I would start looking at the weather several days prior. What is it doing? What is it forecast to do? This particular area can get incredibly socked in. Visibility goes to nothing. And that's not somewhere you want to be. Well, it's not somewhere I want to be in a Cessna 172 or anything that burns 100 low lead in a single or even a multi-engine, to be honest with you. That's just my level of comfort these days flying turbine-powered, jet-powered aircraft. But that's maybe another discussion for another day. But it's something you want to take into account. What's the weather going to do? And certainly don't be afraid to scrap your plans if it's not in your comfort level. Tacoma Narrows is Class D airspace. If you watched my other VFR sectional video, you know that already. We're not going to belabor that point, but we've got some things to consider here. Number one, control tower. I like control towers, to be honest with you. It makes my life a whole lot easier 9 times out of 10. We've got another section of Class D airspace here, the McChord Field, Joint Base Lewis-McChord. So pretty much immediately after takeoff, we're going to have to enter another Class D airspace. So go ahead and get the flight following. I mean, yeah, you can come out this way and skirt everything and not talk to anybody, but honestly, just get the flight following. It's free. Your tax dollars have paid for it, and it just makes life a whole lot better for not only you but people around you. So we depart Tacoma Narrows. We've negotiated overflight of McChord Field, and really once we get outside of this mode C, this 30 nautical mile veil, traffic is probably going to be a whole lot better. Now, I'm also looking to the north here, and look at that. We got a big old SeaTac airport. Most of the time they land south. I can tell you that from my airline days. Most of the time we prefer, and everybody prefers to land south, but you know, ATC has the final word. And sometimes you land north. And nobody likes to land north because it just creates all kinds of havoc at times. You'll see here that the Class B goes down 1,800 feet. That's the floor of the Class B. So that's pretty low. What's that's telling me is you got big heavies that are coming this way, turning in, or they're coming on a left base, turning in and joining final. And if I'm climbing out here, even below 4,000 feet, the floor of the Class Bravo, you're going to have wake turbulence to deal with. Um, if they're landing south and departing to the south, the heavies are gonna be on a pretty aggressive climb anyways, so you probably won't have that. But oops, you know what? Anytime that you are in and around heavy aircraft, you need to be thinking of wake turbulence. You also need to be thinking of where's the wind coming from. If the wind is out of the north here blowing south, it could blow that wake into your flight path. If it's coming from the south to the north, maybe it doesn't so much, or if it's quartering or perpendicular, just be aware of what the wind is doing and what that wake turbulence is doing. So you could easily be at 5,000-6,000 feet here if you've got permission to enter the Bravo. Remember, permission to enter the Bravo doesn't mean it's safe to do so, right? You'll be given separation. You'll have be given traffic advisories, and you're under positive control at that point. But the controllers aren't flying the airplane for you. You need to be aware of what's going on around you and how it affects your little airplane. So once we get outside of this mode C veil, I'm breathing a lot easier. I don't have as much traffic to worry about, but I'm starting to eyeball what's coming up ahead and thinking of escape routes, I guess is the best way to put it. This terrain here, we can see the contours. It's steep terrain. If you fly in the area, you know what's down here. It's trees. There are no safe landing spots. Trees don't give, and you're going to lose that battle every time. So I'm looking at where can I glide to. Probably I don't have many options of places to glide to. So I might even think about amending this flight path. Now, I know I can hear it in the comments already. Well, just straight line is the shortest distance, and historically, my engines don't fail. I'm telling you right now, anything mechanical can fail, and it will fail at the worst possible time. If you're not thinking about that, shame on you. If it's just you on board, knock yourself out. Go kill yourself all you want. I'm not here to stop you. If you've got innocent passengers on board, then you need to be thinking about their safety. And yeah, it might add a few minutes to your flight, but if it's going to be a lot safer, I'm doing it. I might consider diverting, following this highway here down to Morton. So if we've got Eatonville is a good landing spot, Morton is a good landing spot, should I need to. If I can't glide to either of those, then this highway is going to be my best option. All right. There does come a point, and I will hand it to you, that you cannot completely mitigate all risk from a flight, that you're going to have to accept it sometimes. And I guess my point and what I'm trying to get across is, let's mitigate as much risk as possible. Now, does it make sense to come down all this way, maybe follow I-5 all the way down? It might not. I'm not advocating doubling your flight time unless you're trying to build for the airlines or something. Then what do you got to lose, honestly? But there does come a point, and I'm looking at right here where the cursor is, from here to about here, where you are exposed, I guess is the best word. You're exposed to that terrain. You're going to be exposed to whatever the winds are doing around Mount Adams here. And that's when you kind of need to know your equipment and know what your capabilities are. If I don't have an instrument rating and it's looking at all questionable, I'm going around, obviously, to stay VFR, but I don't even like VFR on top. If I'm instrument rated in a single engine, piston powered airplane, and I can't see the ground below me, I don't like that. Call me a big chicken, but it's done me well so far. Now, if I'm at flight level 400 off in a jet engine, obviously, we would never get anywhere if you flew like that. But that's a whole different ballgame. At 10,000 feet, 12,000, even on oxygen, 14, 15,000 feet, and I can't see what's below me, that engine goes out, you don't know where you're going, and that's a bad day. The point is that you want to try to minimize your exposure and your time between this high terrain and this high terrain here. How far is that? I don't know. But in your flight planning, you're going to know exactly, okay, for the next 12 minutes, things need to work pretty well in order to remain safe. But I'm also thinking in this stretch right here, where am I going if the engine starts to run rough? Maybe it's not a catastrophic failure. To me, if we're still generating power and I'm able to maintain altitude, I am going to the nearest suitable landing place, even if that's behind me. So going back to Packwood, Strom Field, those are definitely good options. There's a highway right here running between the two, might be an option. Obviously, with a catastrophic engine failure, there's nothing that you can do. But having flown fire patrol throughout the Sierra mountain range in a single engine piston airplane, a Cessna 172, I was constantly looking for suitable landing places. There weren't many, but I knew exactly where they were, and I knew how to get there, the quickest way to get there. And, sometime it might be behind me. Once I got to this point here on this hypothetical cross country, I've got some more roads now. This Trout Lake, obviously there's a private field. I would not hesitate to land at a private field if something was going south. Landing on any of these roads, these are all going to be free of trees and other obstacles. I would be aware of wires. You can see a big power line running here, but even on highways, you're going to have paralleling or crossing power lines. So I would be wary of that, but given the option of putting it in the trees or the big hills here, or on a road where I might clip a wing on a power line, I'll take that road chance any day. So coming to the Columbia Gorge, you can read all this information here. We got ourselves a CTAF, no control tower. I'm gonna have to cancel flight following at some point here. I might get low enough where they can't reach me anymore. Portland over here to the west, I would think that approach could still have radar contact on me. But this brings up another point, another issue. And maybe as a non-professional pilot, I would go and look up what are the arrival procedures here into Portland. Am I in the flight path of approaching heavy aircraft? Am I in the departure corridor of departing heavy aircraft? And again, just like Seattle, I would be aware of the wake turbulence of those aircraft and if they could potentially impact me. Other than that, if you've flown in the Columbia Gorge at all, it can be super windy. This high terrain on two sides here makes a nice little wind corridor. So I'm thinking about what the winds are probably going to do and, make my plan accordingly. This is a pretty easy airport to get to. It's not maybe a good talking point here. This has got some good handrails. You got the big Columbia River. You're not going to miss that. You've got the only real civilization that you can see for, miles east or miles, east this way and miles west this way. So you're probably not going to confuse this airport with another. And let's be honest, everybody's a pink line pilot these days. They just fly to the airport and start looking looking down. But, you know, you do have Jernstedt Airport here that could be confused. But again, it's on the south side of the river, not the north. So if you've crossed that big body of water, you've gone too far. I would also back that up with the VOR here, you know, just putting in like, I don't know, maybe the 180 radial as a fence, you know, to let me know if I've gone too far. I would probably put in whatever this radial is here, like maybe 220 or something, so that when I crossed that, I knew that I was within striking distance. And you could use any of these VORs, or any of these radials here to help plan your descent. So just something to think about. I hope this helps. If you have a particular airport or cross country in mind, drop a comment in below. Send me a message. I'd love to take a look at your cross country, give you some considerations you might not think about, and things that, you know, I look at as doing this full time. Thanks for watching. Please, if you don't mind, like and subscribe. Really helps out. Stay safe.